Hi, this is Meg Olson from Network. I just wanted to let you know first of all, welcome to Network's Twitter 101 webinar. We're so glad you're here with us. And I just wanted to let you know we'll start in a few minutes. So stay tuned. Thanks. All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is Meg Olson from Network. I lead up our grassroots mobilization team, and we are so glad that you are joining us for our Twitter 101 Advocacy in 280 characters and a hashtag. Some of you have contacted me and said, I don't even have a Twitter account, and that's really okay. That's what we're all here for, to learn how to set up accounts and learn how to be great tweeters. And there'll also be a little bit of talk. I know some of you, I recognize your names because you've signed up to host a debate watch party next week, and we're so glad you're doing that. So we're going to talk a little bit about, too, like how that's going to go. Just a little housekeeping. There will be plenty of time for questions towards the end of this webinar, but you can type them in throughout. So don't feel like you have to remember all of your questions until the end. You each have a control panel on this side, and you can either raise your hand and type a question, or you can type a question in the question box, and that'll show up. And I'm going to be monitoring these during the webinar. And like I said, we'll have time at the end. So just make sure you are either raising your hand or typing in your question into the question box, and we will make sure your questions are answered. I have a feeling that some of you are going to want to have the same question about things. So, but hopefully all of your questions will be answered. All right. So today we'll be discussing how to set up your Twitter account, what makes a good tweet, and tweeting during the September debate. And our two presenters, we have two. I said so excited to be joined by half of our communications team. We have Colleen Ross, our communications manager, and Lee Morrow, our press secretary. So, whoops. Oh no, what happened? Oh. All right, sorry about that. So, starting, we are just so I'm going to hand it over to Colleen to begin. Yep. Great.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We are very excited to talk about using Twitter with you. That is a fair amount of mine and Lee's job day to day. So we spend a lot of time on Twitter, and we're going to try to pull you into the spider's web as well. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, I'll let Lee talk a little bit about how our Twitter feed and Catholic sisters and lay people and folks using Twitter fits into the larger picture. Lee is our press secretary and handles media at Network, so he has a really good picture of the larger scheme of things and how our national conversations are happening.
Hey everybody, I'm Lee, if I don't already know you. Thank you for coming on today. So yeah, at Network we use Twitter every day to get our message out about the Mend the Gaps issues that we're always working on, and to share photos from our events and links to our different actions. And there are already a ton of Catholic sisters and Catholic lay people and Network's members all over the country who are using Twitter and sharing our content and sharing our message. So we want to try to build on that and get as many people using it as possible. And right now we're trying to build a small team of rapid response folks who will receive information from us and tweet out our message and some important content that we're creating. So if you get through the training and you absolutely love Twitter, and I think some of you will, I'll send y'all an email afterwards and gauge some interest and see if anybody wants to join this little rapid response team that we're going to put together.
Great.
All right. Thanks, Lee. We all know these days there are plenty of things that we are called to respond to.
Amen.
So, all right. We'll go to the next slide. Yep. Okay, signing up for Twitter. For those who don't already have a Twitter account or more than one Twitter account, it's pretty easy to sign up. You go to twitter.com, click the big blue sign up button, and that is the easiest part of it. Next, you add your name, your email, or your phone number, whichever one you want to use, and then you choose a username for yourself. If you are a sister, I would definitely recommend something with sister for your username. A couple sisters that you may know already who are on Twitter include Sister Simone, Sister Helen Prejean, our Network's own Sister Quincy, and they all use sister in their username. It's a pretty good way to be upfront about that. Twitter will also let you edit a little bio for yourself, so you can think about what you want to put in there. And lastly, don't forget to add a photo, because we all know that Twitter bots are a real thing, and you have hackers and people pretending to be who they're not. So it just kind of adds to this environment of, oh, are they who they say they are? And if you don't have a photo, I think that really is going to throw people off. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an up-close photo of your face, but it could be, a photo from further away. It could be even a photo of a landscape or something, but just don't let it be the little automatic photo. I don't even know what it is anymore. It used to be an egg. It might still be an egg.
Yeah.
That's probably people are going to think that, they're not going to trust you. They're not going to retweet you if you are just a little egg. So choose something unique. It could be your pet dog, anything like that. So there are also, if you still need a little additional help on this, there are YouTube videos that can help you get your Twitter account set up, or you can get in touch with myself, or you can get in touch with me afterwards and we can walk through that. All right, so why to join the conversation on Twitter? Twitter has 330 million monthly users. That's a lot of folks. There are over 3 billion Twitter accounts in total. So Twitter does reach a fair amount of people. Myself and other communications folks have to remind ourselves constantly that Twitter doesn't reach everyone, but it does reach a lot of people. And that's where a lot of journalists, that's where a lot of elected officials are going to kind of get the pulse on the national conversation and on public opinion. So some other statistics for you. 21% of women are on Twitter and 24% of men are on Twitter. For a second, I thought that was supposed to add up to 100. It is not. That is the percentage of women overall that use Twitter and men overall. It's a slightly more urban population, so folks living in cities compose 25% of Twitter users, or 25% of people who live in cities use Twitter. Only 17% of people in rural areas use Twitter, but actually that's a pretty high percentage.
Really
so it is pretty far-reaching. You can see some more statistics at the website cited below for sources. And if we go to the next page, let's start talking about what makes a good post or a good tweet. So you'll want to keep it brief. Twitter kind of limits you already on that. It actually used to be a lot shorter. They've increased their limit of how long your tweets can be. So now you can fit in at least a good couple of sentences instead of half of a sentence. So, but still, you want to keep it brief and to the point. Honestly, keeping it shorter than the limit is, folks are going to like that better. So keep it brief and use hashtags. Hashtags are how conversation around a certain topic really gets organized. So if you're, like today, for example, there was the Catholic Day of Action in Newark. So they were using the hashtag Catholic Day of Action. They were using the hashtag Catholics for Migrants. So those hashtags were specific to the event itself. For me, I wanted to see who was there. I wanted to see what photos were being posted. So I was searching those hashtags and seeing everybody who was posting about them. The folks who were at that event were also, I would imagine, using some larger hashtags like Justice for Immigrants, Families Belong Together. That loops them into the larger immigration conversation that wasn't limited just to Catholics. So it's a good idea to sometimes use a very specific hashtag. It's a good idea also sometimes to use a more broad hashtag. So, if you're going to be watching a debate, the very broad hashtag would be Dem Debate. That's what everyone's talking about. But if you really want to get in touch with Network and be part of that conversation, use the hashtag Mend the Gaps, because that's what we're going to be talking about. And don't worry, I'll show you that again later on down the road. So tagging people is really important. That is how you let them know that you're saying something to them. So you say, hey, President Trump, or you say, hey, Sister Simone, or hey, Meg Olson, I have something to let you know. And you can just search that person's profile, and then if you start your tweet right from there, usually it'll automatically tag that person in your tweets. And you can tag organizations as well. You can tag Network. That way we'll get a little notification that someone's talking about something that we should pay attention to.
Oh, I can point that out. At the bottom of your screen in the lower right-hand corner, you have, it's called Network's Twitter handle with the @ and it's Network Lobby. And then this hashtag that we're using for this webinar is Network Webinar. So just so you have an example of that right on your screen.
Yep. All right. And finally, post regularly, but not excessively. So, it's okay to take breaks. A lot of folks these days need to take breaks from Twitter, but you do want to be posting semi-regularly so that people don't forget who you are. But at the same time, don't post too excessively or else people might get sick of you. So do try to keep a little bit of time between your posts. That comes with a caveat. If you're doing something really exciting, if you're at an event and you're taking lots of photos, there have been times that Lee and I will tweet, 10 times in a row for Network because it's just really exciting stuff. It's really good content. We're getting great photos and things like that. So if it's a really interesting thing, and there are different speakers happening, there's different things happening, go for it. But if you're just, baking a loaf of bread, maybe keep it to one tweet. I would love to see your any baking activities, so feel free to tag me in those. All right. Speaking of photos, add a photo. Seriously, try to add a photo 100% of the time if possible. It's just going to make your tweet so much more exciting, more engaging. Usually, you can snap a photo. It doesn't even have to be a great photo. It doesn't have to be posed. It can be a candid photo. It can be a landscape photo. It can be a photo of, a poster that you like. It doesn't have to be, it can be an inanimate object, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But just a little bit of visual accompaniment goes a long way. Sometimes with the issues that we're working on, it's actually hard to think of a visual to accompany, talking about the budget caps and keeping funding in the budget for something very specific. It's hard, but we try to go with a more general photo of a community, or a photo of even just the network logo, anything like that. All right, be timely. We all know when there are events happening that the conversation crops up. You'll talk about it with the folks you live with your family and your friends. It's the exact same on Twitter. So if a big event happens, you can bet that people are on Twitter discussing it. So there's certainly a time and a place for a more thoughtful response that comes, after some time to think about it. But really, Twitter is all about the quick response. And so if you can jump in right away, that's what is going to really get you into the middle of the conversation. And add emotional appeal. If you've done any lobbying with us, if you and on your own have worked for a cause or spoken to an audience, you know that adding some emotion is going to make your message stick much better. So I would say add emotional appeal. I would also say here adding faith language fits into that as well. So any way that you can tie it back to values, you can tie it back or bring your message close to home for folks, that is certainly going to make your message stronger. So if they're talking about taking away funding for children's insurance, really there's a lot of emotional appeal to touch into there, so to connect with there. So talk about times that wouldn't you be scared if a child that you knew didn't have access to the health care that they needed. All right, and share an amazing story. Sisters and
we just have someone just asked what kind of language. I think there may be.
Oh, sorry if I lost you there. Using emotional language or faith language, faith values. My faith calls me to do this. As a person of faith, I feel this way is going to make your message stronger.
Yeah, you can even quote a little bit of the gospel, or especially like if we're talking about, like Colleen was just talking about, like healthcare, like using something from Matthew 25, all of those types of things, if it feels authentic.
Oh, definitely. All right. This has been a lot of words, and I guess you could skip 2 ahead.
Sure.
I will show you. We have a picture of what it looks like when you are ready to send your tweet. So on the left-hand side, you see I took a screenshot of the network Twitter account, and when you're ready to tweet, there's a bar right up at the top that says, "What's happening?" And if you put your cursor in there, the "What's happening" will disappear, I promise, and you can start typing away. So that is what you want to do when you're ready to do your public tweet. So you just type away. Down at the bottom are a couple different icons. The first one is to add a photo. So that'll pull up your computer's photo hard drive, your storage, and you can add a photo in there. You can also add a GIF or a GIF, depending on how you pronounce it. Those are the little tiny, really quick videos. So those can be great for expressing emotion like surprise or anger, or any other emotions. And you can add emojis as well. You can tweet both from your computer or from your phone if you have a smartphone. So sometimes I do think it's actually easier just to send a quick tweet from my phone once you download the Twitter app to your phone and get logged in. That way you can add your own emojis, you can add photos that you've just taken at an event. If you're watching the debate and you're playing our bingo, if you take a photo on your phone and then you go to Twitter, you can upload the photo really, really easily. And I'm happy to talk through any details on how to do that as well. But you do have to have, I actually had to upgrade my phone right before we went on Nuns on the Bus because I needed more storage for photos on my phone. So sometimes, our technology isn't quite keeping up with that, but that is a possibility. The other option that you see next to the tweet button, which is what you press when you're ready to send your tweet, is the plus sign. So like I said, Twitter increased the limit for the number of words that you could do in a tweet, but if you really need to say something even longer, you can add that plus sign and it'll thread a few different tweets together. That's a pretty compelling way to tell a long story or to really dive in and analyze and detail in more depth. If you have enough to say, that's really good content. Doing a Twitter thread, it can be 2 tweets, it can be 3, it can be 4 or more. But that's a good way. Sometimes when we have a statement from network, we just think the whole thing is so important, we'll do a tweet thread and we'll put a few different ones together and do that. So, yeah, we don't even actually have to go backwards.
Oh, okay.
All right, staying on this slide, the difference between tweets and messages. So on Twitter, I guess it is labeled as messages. You'll also often hear it called direct message or DM. When you tweet, it'll go out to all of your followers, and if you have a public Twitter account, which I do highly recommend as long as you are comfortable with everything you tweet being out there in the public, and again, I would recommend you not tweeting anything that you don't want out there on Twitter. So if you have your public Twitter account, anyone can find your tweets, which is a good thing, and they can reach more people. So those tweets will show up in your Twitter feed. But if you just want to have a direct message that goes directly to one person and not everybody can see it, you can do that by going to the Messages tab where I have the little red arrow, and you can start new messages there. So if you have a good tweet that you can send, you can share a tweet via the message and say, hey, this was a really interesting tweet. I thought you might be interested, or you can just send a regular message. So that functionality, I think I've said this a couple times on Twitter webinars before, but nobody ever really takes us up on it. You can direct message network, and we will be happy to retweet your tweets, lift up your tweets, answer any questions that you have, send you articles, information. You can also email Meg, which I know everyone loves to do. But if you want to connect on Twitter, you can send a message, and I can message you out. So be familiar with that. If you want to work with Lee on rapid response, that might be the way that he would end up communicating with folks. A lot of our partners, if you see there, our immigration partners, Fight for 15, we do a lot of sharing tweets, and we say, hey, tweet this, tweet that.
All right. And just so you know, just a reminder, as Colleen and Lee are talking, if you have any questions, you can type your question in the question box. I am writing them down, and they will be answered towards the end of this webinar. All right. Or you can also raise your hand. Okay. So we've covered kind of what makes a good tweet in general, but let's look at more specifically what we would want to tweet about, why we want to tweet,
what do we want to accomplish? One way to accomplish some advocacy goals is to tweet at your elected officials. I think that probably every elected official has a Twitter. I would even say that elected officials who maybe are not comfortable with Twitter on their own, their staff runs a Twitter page for them and reports out to their boss about what people are saying online. So if something is happening in the House, something is happening in the Senate, find your representative, find your senator, and feel free to send them a tweet. There are actually studies here in DC, the Congressional Management Foundation, they study how effective it is, and it is effective for folks to be tweeting. You can also reply to their tweets, and that's a really great way to do it too, because everyone who goes to read that elected official's tweet sees your reply right below it. So if they say something that you don't agree with at all, feel free to reply and say, I don't agree with this. I don't like what you're saying. My face tells me differently. Or if they say something that you do like, it's very nice to give them a pat on the back, say, I'm so glad you're my elected official. I'm so glad you're my representative. You are representing the interests of myself and the marginalized, and thank you. Keep up the good work. Can't wait to vote for you again. So this is just another way of really participating in our democracy. I think I'm excited that Twitter really allows us to talk directly to elected officials. We don't have to wait just until Election Day to give them a piece of our mind, whether positive or negative. Although if you're looking at my bullet points, it does say to tweet positive messages, not just negative. So also don't veer the conversation off a different topic. They're probably not going to really take note of your topic, so try to keep on topic with what they're talking about. Also, tweeting at an elected official, if you reply to them, that might be where some folks that you don't already know see your Twitter account. And they may agree with you or they may disagree with you. So just be aware that replying to an elected official's account, especially a more public national elected official, you might get some new friends or people who are not quite as friendly. So if anyone does want to just make trouble, don't reply to them. We'll say a little bit more about that.
Okay. You guys next dealing with problems?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So like I said, sometimes there are not great times on social media. We have had our share of that at Network, and it's not fun, but really we do kind of sometimes give ourselves a little pat on the back because we say that if we're being noticed and people are attacking us, then at least we're making a splash. If nobody is upset with us or nobody disagrees with what we're doing, then nobody's hearing us. So it's kind of, on one hand, difficult, but on the other hand, affirming to know that people out there are hearing what you're saying, and at least it's getting a reaction out of them. So certainly just ignore folks. It really is, there really are fake accounts out there, that there is not actually a human on the other end of it. So if you find yourself in a situation like that, or you find yourself with someone who just has too much time on their hands, it's going to be a never-ending conversation. And I would really recommend just not engaging. The other option, if someone really is harassing you, is that you can block a user. On the slideshow there, you can see when I went to the C-SPAN account, if you go down, it gives you several different options. So you can block C-SPAN if they're being really mean to you. I don't think C-SPAN is going to be a problem here, but you could do that for another situation. You can also report them to Twitter if they're being really terrible. All right. Anything to add on general.
Oh, sorry. Someone's just asking right now because they're seeing all these options. What do they mean? View lists. What's a list?
Oh, that's a great question. So lists, that is the advanced Twitter class. It's actually not really. It's pretty simple. You can make a list. Once you have your own Twitter account, you can make your own lists. You can see lists that other people have created. They're just a way to make a smaller group of people whose tweets you see. So, if you start to follow a lot of people on Twitter and then you go to your Twitter homepage, it shows you all of those people's tweets. I think myself personally, my personal account, I think I follow over 600 people.
Yeah.
So it can be hard, maybe I actually want to see my family's tweets and I want to see what they're saying about my little cousin's first day of school. So I have a family Twitter list. I don't actually have one. I could make one. I could make a family Twitter list. There are lists out there that are just the 2020 presidential candidates. So if you just want to see what they're saying and you want to compare what they're saying, you can find one of those lists and it'll show you just their tweets.
We have a list of all the Catholic sisters on Twitter, don't we?
Yeah, that is actually my favorite Twitter list. And as you all go out and create your Twitter accounts and they have sister in the name, I will probably find them at some point and add them to the Twitter list of Catholic sisters who tweet. And we have Twitter lists of our advocacy partners and things like that.
Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so one big project that we're planning next is debate bingo. So Network is hosting and holding, and Network members are holding all across the country different debate watch parties for the upcoming presidential debate that's happening next week, right?
Next
Thursday? Yeah. So on Thursday, a bunch of our members, and hopefully
we have
all
41 parties with
Tons
over
of parties.
500 party guests across the country.
Tons of people are going to be watching and playing bingo with us. We created a debate bingo, which is all about our Mend the Gap issues. So if a candidate or a moderator says something about our issues, or they miss a great opportunity to speak about our issues, you get to cross off a thing on the bingo card and play against your friends at the watch party, but also take photos of your cards and tweet them out and use the hashtag #MendTheGap hashtag, the debate bingo hashtag, and tag Network Lobby. So that way there'll be a bunch of people on Twitter all talking about our issues from the perspective of the debate and getting involved in what is definitely going to be a big topic on Twitter. So if we can just make sure that our issues are a part of that topic, it's really good for us. And you can tag the candidates. We're going to provide all of the stuff that has the candidates' Twitter handles and things like that, and moderators' Twitter handles, and you can tweet directly at them. And I bet a lot of the campaigns are going to see it and be interested in all these different Catholic advocates talking about these issues. So we're very excited about it.
Yeah, all of that. Cool. So when you're watching this upcoming debate on next Thursday, or just following along with the presidential election cycle over the next several months, you can check in with Network Mend the Gap's 2020 platform. It's available online. If you go to our homepage, you'll see it under 2020 Vision, 2020 platform. And we have several different issue areas that we are really focusing on, and we've been doing actions and making strategies and plans that you guys are a part of, that we're doing internally to try to get the candidates to talk about these issues in their campaigns, so that they're making promises that when whoever takes office, that they'll take action on these things. If you've seen our 2020 vision, this lines up with our 2020 vision. So we want to mend the wealth and income gaps, and the three policy areas that we see to do that are tax justice, livable income, and family-friendly workplaces. And we also next, I'd want to mend the gaps in access, which includes access to democracy, citizenship, and housing. And additional concerns are trade policy and equity in criminal justice. So the platform, like I said, is available online, and we'll email you again with all of the resources for the debate, so you can tweet, and we have lots of sample tweets about all of these issues. We have sample tweets that line up with our bingo cards, so it says, if you get a bingo on this square, tweet number 1. That's a little complicated. If you don't want to do it, that's totally fine. If you do want to use these tweets, it would be great because we'll all be having the same conversation together. But also having your own unique take on what the candidates are saying is really what's going to be great. So we'll give you sample tweets that you can use. It might get your brain flowing. You can give it to your guests that you're watching with, and you can feel free to use those. But everyone has their own unique experiences and expertise, so I think that everyone who is watching and those of you who are on this webinar are going to come up with much better things to say, much more unique responses. So don't be limited by the suggested tweets that we give you, and don't feel like you have to do it or you have to follow along in exactly that order. You can just play bingo and tweet out a photo of yourself playing bingo. And yeah. I hope that we get a bingo. Because really, it's a bingo for our country.
Yes.
So we'll wrap up here and discuss a little recap of what we've covered so far. Creating your Twitter account, it's pretty easy. Just follow the steps online. Use your name, use a photo, use sister in the title if that is one of your titles. Use it, it's powerful. And use a profile photo as well. And then if you are a sister, or if you're affiliated with an order of sisters, if you, all of the organizations and all of the orders of sisters, generally the congregation leadership has a Twitter account. So I know the IHMs do a great job on Twitter. The Sisters of Mercy are always tweeting. The Dominicans have a great Twitter account. So find your order of sisters as well, too, and retweet their stuff, tweet at them, and Network does that a lot as well. It's a really great way, actually, to keep up on what all of the different orders of sisters are up to, and honestly, it's hard to because sisters are just so energetic, and there's always so much going on. So when you are tweeting, be brief, be timely, add a photo. Really try to jump into whatever current events are happening and share your take. And finally, join us and tweet during the debate, during the next debate, and then keep tweeting during the future debates, during all of the primaries that we have coming up, and everything like that, especially the general election. We'll have another webinar when that one comes out.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Question and answer.
So, question and answer. I got a new question. Oh, you're welcome. Ooh, great. Thanks, Mark. Mark wants to join our rapid response team.
I have
all the information here.
Perfect.
Thanks so much.
We'll make sure to get that out to you.
Yeah. Just writing down your name. Mark Trudeau. Thanks, Mark. Oh, he has a Twitter account. Cool. All right. So, other questions. Let's see. And if it seems like it's too hard, I think we're a small enough group here that I can unmute everyone too.
Yeah.
We can see, yes. I'm going to unmute everybody. If you feel like you have background, you can hit *6 or remute yourself. We do have a couple of questions already that people have been typing to me. Now that you're unmuted, if you have a question, you can raise your hand so that I can see and I can call on you, just so we don't have a bunch of people talking at once. But first question, can I have Twitter? I have an Android phone.
Yes, you can tweet from your Android. Actually,
I have an Android phone.
Lee has an Android. Yeah, there's a Twitter app.
Yep,
that
Twitter
you
app. You get it from the Google Play Store. Just go into that app and type in Twitter and download from there. It's super easy.
And the account setup is still pretty much the same.
Yep, it's all exactly the same, actually. Yep.
You just need to know your username and your password.
All right. Do I have to count the characters, or how do I know if I have too many?
Twitter will let you know. Don't worry about counting it. It won't let you tweet. Actually, if you're doing it on your desktop, it shows you a little counter, it'll let you know how much you have left. And I think it will make the text red if you go over, or bold or something.
Something like that, yeah.
You'll be able to tell if it's too long. Yeah, so don't worry about that. And 280, the new limit. 260?
80.
280?
Yeah, they doubled it.
It's very long. It's like a paragraph.
Yeah.
Yep.
How do people tweet a still shot of the debates, like the picture of Cory Booker that we saw when he was shocked at Beto speaking Spanish?
That is a good question. So, I mean, the news outlets have the best technology for that. They can take a still shot from the video that they have rolling. But I would say, I mean, certainly feel free to take a photo of your TV screen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's probably just going to be the easiest thing to do, is taking a photo of your TV screen. You might miss the moment, but other folks will put it out there, and you can, retweet the photo from other folks.
Yep, you can retweet others and add your own comments to the retweet. So it'll essentially be like you have your own tweet, but directly below it will be the content that you're talking about. So the photo will be there.
Okay, is that clear? Speaking of that, what is a retweet?
Retweet, that's when you agree with what someone else said, and retweeting it is going to put it on your Twitter feed as well. It'll still show that it came from the original person, but it just kind of shows your agreement. A lot of folks, myself included, my Twitter feed is actually mostly just retweeting other people.
Mine too.
I like to think of myself as a curator of ideas, but I'm too busy thinking of other things than tweeting from my own voice. So, if you're a fan of a certain presidential candidate, you can retweet their tweets. You can just retweet network, that would be more than welcome. We appreciate that. Every time that someone retweets another person's tweets, it reaches a larger group of people. So that's kind of how ideas start to spread on Twitter.
Yep, it's really simple to do. All you do is you click on a tweet, and underneath it will be, it kind of looks like a circle, but made out of arrows. So you just click that, and you can either add your own comment or retweet it without commenting.
I was thinking of it as like a recycling symbol.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't do a screenshot of that, but.
Let's see. So it sounds like we click on a tweet. We click on a tweet for everyone, but we can use messages for a specific person or organization?
Yes, that's correct. Yep, that is a great understanding. So if you tweet it, you want anyone and everyone to see it. If you want to tweet just that would be really if you want to tweet privately. If it's a message that you want to send to network, but you're okay with other people seeing it, like, hey, network, so excited to have 10 folks to watch the debate at my house. That'd be a great message for you to do publicly, actually, so that other people can see that you're hosting a network party. And then, we would probably reply and say, awesome, have a great evening. We can't wait to hear how it goes. So sometimes some of those more public conversations you would want to do as a tweet, just so that other folks can, be aware that that's a conversation that we're having.
Yeah, Twitter is a very public platform. It's really about putting your message out there so others can see it. So often, if you are trying to influence someone or you're just trying to congratulate someone, it's great to send that as a real public tweet and not a message, because then others can retweet it, everyone can see, and it can just enhance that message.
Okay. Outside of the debates, is there a best time of day to tweet to get more retweets?
That's a good question.
There is, there certainly are. If I do a quick Google search, I think it's, off the top of my head, I think it's in the evenings.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a response from Google. Noon to 1 p.m. local time for each time zone is the most popular time to tweet. The highest volume of tweets occurs between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. The fewest tweets are sent between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m.
Yeah,
so
that makes
everyone
sense.
is sleeping. That's I don't know. I still think that in the evenings, people, when they're home from work, they're on Twitter, but or maybe they're spending time with their family and friends, which is really what they should be doing.
Yes.
On the whole, it's more important to get involved in ongoing conversations or hashtags. So often there are events or just an issue will pop up on Twitter and be trending. And becoming involved in that trending topic is usually more important than gaming out when is the best time to tweet.
Yeah. Let's see. There's so many great questions and some that just need to, I'll just answer this one quickly. When will we receive the material for the watch party? Well, it's hot off the press today, and we will be starting to put it in the mail tomorrow. We are sending, for the first 20 people who signed up, you will be getting a complete kit with the bingo cards and little signs that say, I won bingo, or I got bingo, or we're watching the debate party. And otherwise, everybody else, you'll be able to download all of our materials on our website. And I think we're sending out an email with all of that too, aren't we?
We'll send out an email early next week with all of these instructions, bingo cards and everything.
Yes. But right after this webinar, I'm going to shoot everyone who's the first 20 if they to just let them be on the lookout for a thick envelope in the mail. It's like a college acceptance package, but bingo cards.
So this website isn't live yet, so don't try to go to it yet, but it's pretty easy to remember. networklobby.org/bingo is going to take you there.
Yes.
Eventually. But not
in the
yet.
next few days. Let's see. And you have your hand raised, but you wrote your question, I think. Do we have anything planned on Twitter for September 29th, World Migrant and Refugee Day?
Yeah, so normally what we do is if there are other organizations who solely focus on specific issues, like that day, a lot of refugee organizations are going to be working really hard on that. And so what we do at Network is we try to amplify their content by retweeting. Sometimes they send us graphics. So this is a great example. If this was something that we wanted the rapid response team to work on, we would send the rapid response team those graphics that were made by another organization or us and some sample tweets. And then the rapid response team would basically do what Network does, which is just amplify the message of the groups who are really pushing that issue.
Those kinds of days are like a great time to chime in on social media. I was a little bit out of the loop. I think I was spending the weekend with my family, and I came back to the office and realized it was Women's Equality Day, and was like, oh, quick, we got to tweet about Women's Equality Day. So it really is, it's fun to see what different organizations are tweeting about those kinds of events, or, dates in history and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's the Vatican that's creating the day.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
So we will definitely be following. We definitely follow all of the Vatican organizations that have to do with justice and peace and refugees and migrants and all of that. And of course, we follow Pope Francis, one of our favorite people to follow. So we will definitely be. I'm sure there'll be a little retweeting and some good hashtags. So. Karen Herring, you have your hand raised so patiently. Whoops. Are you still on?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, great.
I'm trying to keep up with you.
Okay.
How do I follow somebody? Where do I get how can I follow you?
All right. So if you're on Twitter.com and there's a search bar, network in all caps, and then lobby with no space, network lobby, all one word, and you search that, you should find our profile with the network sun, and I think we probably have a photo of the bus, I would imagine, in our profile.
I'm on my home screen. Where do I go from my home? Or at the top it says home.
The Twitter home screen?
Where do I type in network lobby?
So if you scroll up to the top, make sure that when you're on home, let's see, where to share. Oh, I see.
Oh.
So are you on Android? I think it might be a little different on Android. So I have an Android as well. So along the bottom row, the home should be highlighted. Next to it is what looks like a magnifying glass.
Okay.
And you click that.
Type in that. Okay, got it.
Yep, and then you can search from there.
You.
Yeah, of course.
And just find the button that says follow and click that.
I got it.
Wonderful.
And I think what's nice is once you follow network, you'll get some recommendations of other organizations to follow, and so you might end up getting like Justice for Immigrants or like kind of other major organizations.
Fox Christi, Franciscan Action Network.
Yeah.
Yes, they're all there.
Perfect. Great. Yeah, so that's another good way to. A couple people had questions of how do I find the right people to follow. Another good way is to, like, an organization like Network, see who we follow, and then you can just keep clicking follow if they sound like good groups. So thanks.
Yep. And if you want to scroll through our Twitter feed, we also retweet a lot of great organizations, and they're be good to follow as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I see that Sister Karen Heron just followed Network.
Woo!
Yeah.
And we're going to follow you back, so I see what you tweet.
Perfect.
Yeah. Let's see. Very good. How do we access the recording of this session? Thanks, Tony. Tomorrow, you will get an email thanking you for attending, and the recording will be on there. Network also posts all of we also post all of our webinar recordings on our website under Educate. And that's the first. If you go to the Advocacy Toolbox and go to Educate, it will have all of our all of ours as well. But you will get this emailed to you. Let's see. What does the bell symbolize on an organization's Twitter page? I clicked it, and now it's got a check on it. A bell.
So the bell will send you notifications to your cell phone whenever that account tweets. So if you want to see every single tweet and for it to show up on your home screen as a notification, then you can click the bell. But if you don't want that, if it's too much, you can click it again and it'll turn off.
Yeah. I accidentally clicked the bell on a few people and I had to turn it off because it was really annoying. I like you, but not that much. Just a little bit more information. Anne, thank you so much for sharing all of this about the World Migrant and Refugee Day on September 29th. It's the Vatican is hosting the day. I bet it's part of Share the Journey. It's the 105th World Day of Migrants and Refugees, and it's for all Catholics to celebrate. So we will, I'm sure, see a lot of great hashtags that involve like Catholics and, justice for immigrants and phrases that we're familiar with. So that'll be a great day to participate in. We have lots of different opportunities to participate in kind of what's called like a Twitter storm as well. So. All right. Are there any other questions? Elizabeth. Oh, where'd you go? I'm trying to unmute you. Hang on, Elizabeth. I am trying to unmute you. There we go. Yes, Sister Elizabeth, what's your question?
My question is Twitter pretty safe? You know, we're always concerned about security. Is it pretty safe, or are there steps that we can take to make it safer? And what's your response to that?
Yeah, so if you mean like your password, then it's always good to have a strong password. Try not to just meet the minimum qualifications for the password. I'm not actually sure if Twitter requires like an uppercase and like a special character or anything like that. But if you can make it more secure with a better password, that's usually the best way to go. But I've been on Twitter a long time, and I've had my passwords stolen from Yahoo and AOL and everything else, but never from Twitter. So on the whole, it seems safer than a lot of other places that I have my password.
Good to know. Thank you.
And I'm just thinking, Elizabeth, your communications team for IHM is also on Twitter, and so you might want to just like ask them like how often they change their password or things like that, and maybe they have some safety tips that they could share with you too.
Changing your password is definitely good.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was a great question.
Yeah. We have about 5 minutes left. If you think of a question later, you can always email it to me, but and I'll make sure it gets to the right person. But any final questions?
This is Karen. Is retweeting annoying to people if I keep retweeting?
That does fall into the category because it'll show up on their feeds, but I think you can get away with more retweets because it's different people. But what they'll see is like, Sister Karen tweeted this, Sister Karen tweeted this, Sister Karen tweeted that. So keep it maybe to like less than 10 at a time.
Yeah.
Or something.
That should be a good
Yeah. I would say the only time you really do want to retweet, with abandon is like if you're at a rally or something and you want to make sure that it gets like if you were in Newark today, gosh, I would be retweeting everybody's because I want to make sure that there gets as much coverage of the rally as possible in social media.
Yeah.
Do I want account notifications on, or is that going to be very bothersome to keep getting notices? On network, if I press the bell, it says account notifications, and right now it's off.
You might want, no, it depends. That's your call. We do tweet a fair amount. We tweet several times a day, so if you want to be bothered that many times.
Yeah, if you turn it on for network, you're probably going to see it like 10 times a day at least. So if you don't want that many notifications, there's no reason to have that on.
Yeah. And let's see. Will your guests to your debate watch party be able to see this recording? Sure, Tony. What I'm going to do is when this recording is up on our website, which will most likely be by the end of tomorrow, I'll make sure that everybody gets that link as well, because people then can just go to our webpage and click on the recording and watch it. They don't have to have signed up for this webinar or anything like that. Any other raised hands? Alrighty. Well, thank you. I just want to be mindful of our hour together. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I hope that you feel more comfortable using Twitter. We hope to see you out there on Twitter. You're welcome. Like I said, if you have any more questions, feel free to email me, or you can email info@network, and we will make sure your questions get answered. So hope to see you out there. And like Colleen said, once you follow us, we will follow you back and retweet you from time to time. So, all right.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. I think just remember, like any conversation that something happens and you call up the phone, you pull up the phone to call your friend and talk about it. Think about going to Twitter to talk about it too, because that's where all of these conversations are happening there now too.
Good.
For sure. Yeah.
Thank y'all so much for joining.
All right. Bye.
You. We really appreciate
You're welcome.